Hi guys, my name is Nicolette Mashile. I'm also known as the Financial Bunny. To my family, I am also known as Sabrina or Nadia or Mana Mateja or Liome. I am the second born of Buang Mashile and Busisiwe Mashile, also known as Mr. and Mrs. Mashile. Born in Bushbuckridge, went to school in White River. I didn't really stay in Bushbuckridge, but a majority, or the core of who I am is in Bushbuckridge, so Mupulana. Even though I try to speak everybody else's language, Naki Mupulana. Now, when Avon asked me what is my story, it took me back to a moment in my life where I think a defining moment, if I can put it that way. So my sister and I, Bridget, grew up very close. We were 2 years apart. In fact, I don't think it's 2 years, I think it's 18 months. So I'm 31. And in 1997, my sister, I had just passed and I was supposed to go to grade 4. So I was 8 years old. So my sister and I went to school very early. My sister was 10 years old and she was going to grade 6. And my dad and my mom made such a sacrifice in our life very early for us to get a good education, to be able to speak the English that I speak right now. It is all because of the sacrifices that my parents made, right? And of course, English is not a measure of intelligence, but at that point, my parents felt that the education we were getting was not good enough to be able to give us the advantage that we needed in a society that prescribed some sort of status to the English language, but also to the quality of education that was then still delivered by public and semi-public schools. So looking around in Bushbuckridge and at the schools that were close there, my parents couldn't find a good enough school, so they then decided that we were going to get shipped off to Nelspruit. Now, Nelspruit, for those who don't know, is probably an hour and 30 minutes drive from Bushbuckridge. If you're driving a really good car, it could go as long as 2 hours. At that time, my parents were just married. I mean, they were married. They were a young couple, a new couple. A young couple had 2 daughters. And Bridget and I were shipped off to Nelspruit. And we say shipped off to Nelspruit. We didn't really got shipped off to Nelspruit, but my parents enrolled us at Nelspruit Primary School. Now, the one memory that always sticks out is the fact, and it probably makes me cry quite a lot, is the fact that, so Bridget and I, the school that we were at previously, we wore a checkered blue and white tunic, right? And the school we were going to, Nelspruit Primary, they wore a checkered green and white tunic with a white t-shirt inside. And so here we are, our first day. 1, we can barely speak English well. 2, we are in the wrong school uniform. So we're sticking out. And for a very long time, my sister and I, because Remapulana, we didn't speak English well, but we didn't speak isiSwati well either. Or in fact, we didn't speak isiSwati at all. So here you are in Nelspruit at the epicenter of Swati speakers. If you are black, you either speak English or Afrikaans, and we didn't know any of those languages. So for a very long time, my sister and I were not black enough because we didn't speak the vernacular language spoken by the black children there. And we didn't fit in on the white side, so we're not white enough because we were black, but also didn't speak English. So for a very long time, my sister and I were really out of place. You know, we also didn't live with our mom, so there was nobody in the morning to make us his kaftini. We had to fend for ourselves, basically. My dad was always there. He tried to be an exceptional parent, and he was. You know, he was. My mom was there. It was a time of no cell phones. We didn't have cell phones. So there wasn't much communication between myself, my sister, and my mom. We would see my mom when she would visit or when we would drive home. And talking about driving home, there is this shop. It is a metro, which is generally a macro in the more sophisticated places. And as you drive into Bushbuckridge, you can see it from afar. And my sister and I, every time my dad drove into Bushbuckridge, we saw the metro. Because we were young, we didn't really know what the distance was. But when we saw that metro, you could see the happiness on our face because we were going home. We were going to a place where we had people that kind of fitted in with us. But we were going to see our mother. And whenever she came, she would take a taxi. And we would peep out of the window because we knew she would be coming. And every time we saw her walk down, there was a bridge to where we lived. So it was a bridge and you could see people that walked on that bridge. And my mom would walk there and we would be the happiest children in the world. And I think that's where my story starts from. So when asked what is my story, you know, it's easy to jump to the successes, it's easy to jump to the hard work, but nobody ever speaks about what shaped the attitude, what shaped the way we are, what shaped who we are. And I think for me, what really shaped us was that early independence that we had to develop. We were pushed into it was a sink or swim. You were pushed into a situation where you had to either make it or don't. And Bridget and I had to make it, and we only had each other, you know? So that is my story. I think my story is of perseverance. My story is of developing independence. My story is of faking confidence until I made it. My story is of acceptance. I had to accept my flaws or what other people deemed as flaws very early. The language issue, the fact that we did not fit in for a very long time. And I think because of that, we are who we are today. I am who I am today because of those early lessons that I had to learn very quickly. One of the other things I remember, oh my God. So my dad, every time he came from work, he would leave coins on the windowsill. And in the complex that we lived in, they sold ice cream. So every single time my dad would throw his coins there, Bridget and I would pick all the silver coins and we went and bought ice cream with all the money, and the money got finished. And my dad got mad. He got super mad. And the one day he sent us to school with no food. He was like, go to school, you're stealing. You're stealing from me, your father. You're stealing from me, your own dad. Go to school without food. What a joke. My sister and I were so hungry at school. I can't recall the story very well, but I think Bridget fainted. Bridget, at 10 years old, guys, was hungry and she fainted. And I think the teachers bought her a pie, a Fanta, and something else. And you know me, I'm the G, because I'm not gonna show weakness. So I was just like, I ain't hungry. But my sister came and she had her food with me. So yeah, I will never forget that. And I think at some point they wanted to go and complain about my dad to social development. And I was like, dude, this man has done so much for us. You know, we're just grateful to be in a school where we can actually learn English words and spelling and be able to talk and be able to be around other people, you know, who had a craving for education. Yeah, I think that for me is really who we are and who I am. Oh, so let me tell you another story of who I am. So Bridget and I then moved, so we only spent a year in Nelspruit Primary and then we moved to White River Primary. Then we lived in a house, right? My dad was hired there as the municipal manager or something in White River. And we had a house, they gave us a government house, so we lived in the government house. But now, on the way to school and on the way back, there's a shop, of course. There's a shop called Parkville. And my dad would give us 5 rand each. And each of one of us had to leave 1 rand 50 to make sure that we would buy bread on our way back home. Your sister here, the entire 5 rand. But let me tell you one thing that I'll never forget about my sister. My sister always had the 3 rand. It didn't even need for us to communicate it. And I think that's why I hold my friendship so highly. This August, this Women's Month, I want to celebrate the woman in my life who held my hand, my sister, my mother. My grandmother thinks I'm the best thing since sliced bread, guys. I don't think there's a woman who cheerleads for me like my 80-something-year-old grandmother. Her birthday is a day before mine, so we are like, sit together. But my female bosses, you know, my female friends, my female colleagues, those are people that hold me, those are people that know me and probably most importantly, my friends, you know, the whole list of them, my close friends, you know, they are my biggest pillars. You know, a lot of people think that I don't have friends or actually female friends, but I do. But I don't see them as friends. They are my sisters because they become so close that they know that I even shout at them. I'm just like, listen, get your life together. What is this? What are you doing? I'm a Virgo, guys. Welcome to Virgo season. Oh, by the way, Beyonce is a Virgo, in case y'all didn't know. Yes, we all have 24 hours like Beyonce, like as Virgos, you all have 24 hours. Get it together. I'm a Virgo, so that makes me a perfectionist. I'm hypercritical. I am a solutionist. If there's a problem, we fix it. We will deal with the emotions later. I have a very strong external demeanor, but I'm soft-hearted, absolutely soft-hearted. And I think one of my best traits comes from my mom. My mom sees everybody as equal. My mother is selfless. My mother is flawed. My mother is loving. My mother is caring. And my entire personality is hers. And if anybody defines my story, it's my mother. My dad is the general. I got probably my tenacity, my perseverance, my hard exterior from my dad, my willingness to learn from my dad, my attitude towards life from my dad. So I appreciate all those people because they are part of my story. And not a single day goes by without me being grateful for them getting me where they've gotten me so far. So Avon, family. Avon is my family, by the way. You know, when a brand like Avon calls on you and says, come and work with us. My sister worked for Avon, by the way. I think a lot of people also don't know that. My sister worked for Avon. So I've been using Avon for a very long time. I used Avon when I was still sleeping on my sister's couch. Amari, guys, they have this range called Amari. I mean, I got everybody to use that. Far away, that was the perfume, okay? The hand lotions, the creams. I mean, I knew I was using a new and Nutri effects even long before it was like a big thing, right? So my sister used to work for Avon and then she left. And it's such a full circle because she left and many people will think, no, just because, no. My sister left Avon totally and she started her own thing, Ruka Roko. And Avon called me years later last year, to say, dude, we would like to do some work with you. And I was explaining to them that Avon has been in my life for so long that it's crazy that they are part of my story. So yes, that is my story. My name is Nicolette Mashile. In Avon, that's my story. And thank you very much for always choosing me, for the support that you give me, and for the love, man. It's all the love.